Welcome to this brief tutorial on paraphrasing, including source material in your essays. This tutorial will teach you the basics of paraphrasing, when to do it, and how to write a good paraphrase that avoids plagiarism. First, let's figure out what a paraphrase is. It differs from a summary or abstract in some key ways. Understanding these differences will allow you to successfully paraphrase. A paraphrase is a version of a source that you write yourself. It should include all the important information in the original passage, but be written in your own voice using your own expressions. It should be about the same length as the original as well. The major difference between a paraphrase and a summary is that a summary is much shorter and touches only on the one or two main ideas in a passage, while a paraphrase is meant to touch on all the information the original presents. There may be times you are expected to use particular writing techniques like compare and contrast or illustration in order to take information learned from a source, such as an article or encyclopedia entry, and present it to the reader. In this situation, being able to paraphrase is important because you want to get all the relevant details from the source into your finished product in a way that doesn't plagiarize. A simple encyclopedia entry by itself isn't unique or interesting enough to quote from, so you should paraphrase instead. Leave the quotations to master examples of writing from the kinds of sources you're trying to emulate. Use paraphrasing to get simple information across to your reader. In this example, we're looking at a report on the importance of bike helmets from Consumer Reports, a publication whose main goal is to present information in a usable way. It is the quality of the information presented, not the writing style of the reports, that is going to convince people, so you wouldn't take this entire quote and paste it into a paper, you would paraphrase it. There is another important reason to get better at paraphrasing. The ability to take in information, process it, understand it, and then be able to explain it to someone else is a lifelong critical thinking skill that you will use over and over, not just in a single writing class. Being able to put a passage in your own words will mean you not only understand it better than if you just quote it, but it will also make your writing sound better, be more understood, and help you to put your own ideas better. While paraphrasing, be careful not to change the meaning or intent of the source material. If you want to use the information from a paraphrase to make an argument, do it after completing the paraphrase, otherwise you run the risk of attributing a particular bias or point of view to the original that did not actually exist. Paraphrasing is a skill you can learn and practice just like any other. The Purdue Online Writing Lab presents a handy guide to paraphrasing as part of the research and note-taking process for a paper you expect to write. It is good practice to always develop real paraphrases of source material that you take notes on so that you can be sure you are not plagiarizing later when you add your notes to your paper. If you just jot down snippets of the source text, you may later forget to put it into your own words, and that could result in unintentional plagiarism. These steps are taken directly from the Purdue Online Writing Lab website. 1. Reread the original passage until you understand its full meaning. 2. Set the original aside and write your paraphrase on a note card. 3. Jot down a few words below your paraphrase to remind you later how you envision using this material. At the top of the note card, write a key word or phrase to indicate the subject of your paraphrase. 4. Check your rendition with the original to make sure that your version accurately expresses all the essential information in a new form. 5. Use quotation marks to identify any unique term or phraseology you have borrowed exactly from the source. And 6, record the source, including the page, on your note card so that you can credit it easily if you decide to incorporate the material into your paper. Now, let's look at an example, again taken from the Purdue Online Writing Lab. First, the original passage. Read it as many times as it takes to understand what it's trying to say and the important details you should be sure to include in your paraphrase. Next, we are presented with a good example of how to paraphrase. Note that while it is slightly shorter than the original, it still makes sure to include all the information presented. The original presented a problem and then a solution. The paraphrase succinctly reports both these aspects of the passage and uses different phrasing and vocabulary more in line with how the paraphrasing writer themselves might write. The next section is an example of how to summarize this source passage. Instead of presenting the problem and then discussing a solution, it simply states both together in a short sentence that gets right to the point so that the writer can move on to the argument of their paper. And last, we have a version of a paraphrase that is plagiarized. Note that the structure of the paraphrase is the same as the original, with only the vocabulary changed to synonyms of the original. This plagiarism does not show that the writer understands the meaning of the passage or its importance to their writing, only that they were looking to fill a hole. Now that we've got the basics of paraphrasing, try a short multiple-choice quiz in which you're presented with a passage and are asked to pick the best example of a paraphrase.